Hi guys, Togo here with a new video, and this video will be the updated patch note for PvP and PvE that were promised for Monday. Now we have hit the patch notes, and we have like an extensive tuning page. There's a few changes, like for example, BM Hunter PvP side of things of Bard Shot is actually nerfed again, so it is like just changed to unchanged really. You only have like the beast mastery buffs towards PvE and PvP, so bow shot, cobra shot, and kill shot. Like I said, cobra shot nobody really uses it except like for filler over filler. Bob shot is going to be buffed by 5%. Like it's still going to be buffed by 15%, but it's not going to be like as big as a buff than previously, right? So it's still going to be offsetting the nerf, the PvP modifier for Bob shot, but it's not going to be like it's like great. It was going to be great. I think it was going to be 25%. Now it's going to be 15%. It is what it is. Kill shot is increased by 15%, so that's cool. But kill shot doesn't do too much damage. I'm not going to go step by step because I think there's not too much changed. I think Fate's mirror's chance to occur reduced to 15% is also a new one instead of 20. You have advanced combat log now, so they will show a bit more how the support things are going on in PvE. I guess you have also a great thing going on with the PvP changes. But let's talk also about enhancement shaman. That is also an extra change. We have healing surge now costs 8% of base mana instead of 10%. But everything else was already on the patch note that I discussed Friday. Pretty much like all good changes in my books. Now let's talk about the PvP changes. So we have Boomkin getting even more nerfs. We have Eclipse, Solar Eclipse, and Lunar Eclipse granted from Celestial Alignment and Incarnation increases nature damage dealt by 10% and arcane damage dealt by 10% instead of 15%. So realistically, you're going to lose 10% on the astral damage proportions, like for example Star Surge, Gold Drain, I think too, and also full moon, new moon, and half moon. So this combined with also the new moon, half moon, full moon nerf is going to be, I think, more in line into the capacities that it can still do damage, but it's not going to be one-shotting anyone. I hope so. From my understanding, No Moon getting nerfed by 20% is also going to increase the nerf on Half Moon and increase the nerf on Full Moon because it's multiplicative with each other. I already discussed about it in the Friday's patch note review. But this combined with the Arcane Adapt PvP talent nerf, the High Winds PvP talent nerf, which is actually added to the Balanced Druid tab. So I think Feral Druid and Resto Druids are not going to be affected by it. It might be, but I think Feral Druid and Resto Druid still keep the high wins for 30%. We have Umbrella Embrace also getting nerfed by 5%. That was also only Friday's patch note. But I think the biggest nerf is the balance of all things, granting 50% reduced critical strike chance PvP, which I think, in my opinion, you simply do not take the talent anymore. I think the talent is dead for PvP, and that's what I do not like about the changes. I think they changed everything except the things that actually were problematic for PvP. So, for example, they made a lot of changes to Full Moon, which makes them actually very bursty, and it's also very hard to actually kick a Full Moon. So they changed that, and that was the one thing that actually made like Boomkins go to S tier. Plus, also Cyclone being that strong, etc. I mean God tier, but that was making them over the top good, right? The capacity to do a cyclone or a root beam and then do a full channel full moon on someone and like deleting him for 400k crit. But I think that the nerfs on these ones is a bit of an overkill because they will see, look, boomkins are still very strong and they're going to nerf something else, and that will be adding up with those nerfs. This is a type of nerfs that actually League of Legends already like had multiple times throughout the years where they actually buff something and then they nerf something that has nothing to do with the buff, and then they realize, look, they are actually still strong, we're going to nerf the buff, and then they nerf the buff, and then they're like in a pitiful state where they're going to get in C or B tier category. B tier is alright, but C tier is like, again, underperforming. You need to actually buff those classes, like for example Frost Decay, which is I think now D tier pretty much on how they play. So they will suffer probably the same fate as the Frost Decay, where the Frost Decay got nerfed multiple times on the things that really weren't needed to be nerfed, and then they nerf the actual things that are actually problematic, and they keep the nerfs that are actually online right now for Frost Decays. So that was a problem in Legion. They actually kept it for BFA, kept it for Shadowlands, and now in Dragonflight we have like a problem where Frost Decay doesn't seem like a class outside of their CDs, and it's very stupid to actually stop a Frost Decay while they're popping CDs. You just need weak auras, or you need like big debuffs or whatever, and you can see whenever he's like doing his damage, so you can actually stop it. But I hope they are not going to do that for Balance Druid. Look, I'm not okay with them being God tier. I think God tier Balance Druid is not good for the game. It's not like a warrior where a God tier warrior actually opens up multiple comps. I think Balance Druid actually is making other comps very restrictive. But I don't want to see Balance Druid C tier either. I think if they actually land in A tier or B tier, I think I would be very happy. I think Balance Druids themselves would be very happy, because then they will be a bit more special, and you will have like more comps to play in that are more specific to towards your class, instead of like the power of your class, which is basically one-shotting someone. But Star Surge is not touched, but of course Eclipse and Balance of all things will affect that. But you will realistically lose 10% only while you're in Celestial Alignment. So if you have like a normal Eclipse, it's still going to be augmenting your damage on Nature or Arcane, depending on the Eclipse. So that's alright. But again, it's not going to double dip as well as before. You realistically lost 10% on Astral damage. Augmentation Evoker got like another nerf, I think, or it's a buff, I don't know. Fate Mirror now triggers 67% more often, so for me this sounds like a buff. But overall nothing really changed since Friday. A Devastation Evoker got a buff. It's actually a very substantial buff. We have the Fire Breath's damage over time damage increased by 20%. In PvP combat was reduced by 10%, so they got a 30% buff on their Fire Breath damage over time, which is surprising, because again they're buffing the things that are actually meant to use as a one shot. And I think they still do not understand that what Devastation needs is something else than just one shots. I think Devastation could already still be one-shotting people. That was not a problem. But now we're going to go back into the state where Fire Breath actually can wipe a whole team. And remember, it still exists that you can PI the Devastation Evoker while they're doing Fire Breath, and they will get even more damage, because that's how haste works on the damage over time effects. And since the fully charged Fire Breath actually does no dot damage, and it is converted to full-on damage, it will just be a 30% buff on the one-shot potential that they have. So I don't know why they did that. I think it's a stupid change. I think they could have buffed anything else except Fire Breath, and I think it would be even better for them. But right now you're just shoving them into one corner, which is basically one shot or die category, which I think in general a class or a spec just doesn't want to be. Mages got no other changes. Priest got this one of the smallest buffs in the world, like penance, damage, and healing increased by 15% in PvP combat. It doesn't do that much. Again, it will help with pad healing and some pad damage and some pad atonement. I think penance is just in a state where you kind of cast it to buff your shields with the talents. But that's it. That's pretty much what you have. Also speeding up targets and such, but you're not going to use it to really heal someone. That's often not going to be a net zero. It's not going to be that good for the priest anyways. Euron's Grace got the nerf, so from Friday they didn't do that, but Euron's Grace effectiveness reduced by 50%, so their like defensive capacities is going to be lower, so they will be a bit more killable. Um, a good change or bad change, I don't know. I felt like windwalker were actually very tanky, and so were mistweavers, but I think just in general, that's a good nerf, I guess. I don't know, depending on how they want windwalker and mistweaver to be. And for the rest, we have like one other change for warlocks. Abyss Walker is now 100% more effective in PvP combat. So it is a 4%. I think it's 4%, right? Or it's 8%. So 4% damage reduction whenever you're doing a TP or a portal, and now it's going to be 8%. Or it's 8%, it becomes 16%. I hope it's 16%, but I don't think it's 16%. I think it's 8%. But anyways, it's something, a small buff. It's an easy talent to pick up in the class tree, and it's going to be effective like every 20 seconds, every 25 seconds, every time you're going to TP, if you're going to use your TP. So yeah, that's it. Impish Instincts is a PvP talent that actually reduces the cooldown of your demonic circle by 3 seconds now instead of 2 seconds, but it has a GCD of 5, I think. So effectively, you can actually like reduce the TP for, I would say, 10 seconds if you're really using demonic circle as like on CD. But I think it's like very neat. I don't think you have a space for that as an affliction warlock. I think as a destruction warlock you kind of have the space for it, but I don't know if you're wanting it. And demonology warlock the same. They have the space, but they can actually use it on something else. For example, affliction got a buff on haunt, which is going to be dealing 230% increased damage in PvP combat. I think haunt by themselves do 30k, I think. You can just add to, like, you can add 230% and it will be, I would say, around 80-70k with versatility and such. So I think still going to hit for something. It will heal for something as well, but it's a casted spell. It's shadow, so if you're getting kicked on it, you have no defensives as well. So it's going to be quite difficult to actually like go for haunt. Also, the talent tree and how it's currently is the build versatility that we have is that haunt is a very difficult pickup. If you can pick haunt, but you will have to sacrifice something, and I don't know if you're actually open to sacrifice said something. But I'll be testing it once it's live. And the same for the warrior changes. They still keep the warrior changes, which is I think a good thing for Playstorm to actually hit for something. And the more strike effect from Unhinged is now affected by 60%. So now we'll see if it's going to be better for arms or not. I think Fury changes are going to be nice for build diversity, but I don't think it will like change the whole world for them. I think they kind of need a rework to the talent trees, because it does feel you're pushed into the annihilator build, which I'm not even playing it, but it feels bad to not play it. But yeah, that's is my opinion. So anyways, those are the changes. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Please let me know in the comment section below. Again, we're trying to see if it's going to change the meta. In my opinion, it will change the meta towards like more of a Shadow Priest meta, because I don't think Shadow Priest has been hit too hard. I think Balance Druid is going to like fade outside of the map, depending on how Full Moon is going to be affected by the no longer deal increased damage, but also the Celestial Alignments and Balance of All Things. You will crit a lot less, and I think you will even pick up just another talent. I think 50% reduced crit is going to be pretty massive. It already felt like it was a nerf state from the legendary, so it's going to be even more of a nerf state. I think it will only give 12% crit, so I don't think it's going to be even worth it to pick it up, because it's like lowered every single second. While you're casting Full Moon, the crit is going to be gone already, so I don't think it's going to be that good. But anyways, let me know what you think. I prefer them to actually buff the healers. I would like to see them buff, I think, at Frost Decay, but I think it's very hard. Again, I think the state of Frost Decay makes them, if you're buffing them, you're going to probably make them OP. If you're like keeping them how they are, they're probably going to be pretty useless outside of like very few comps, where, to be honest, if you play anything else than a Frost Decay, it would also work. But anyways, please let me know what you think. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And of course, like the video, again, helps me with the algorithm. And I'll try to make the unholy decay guide very soon. I hope today, if not tomorrow. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Again, thank you. Have a great day. Be sure to stay safe. And we will see each other very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.